Hello everyone, we are from group talking about Cuba and there we are Nanda Yuda, Matius, Sisweni, Maura and the last is me, Paulus. Today we are discussing about Cuba and the first is about the nature. Next slide please. Okay, Cuba's political and economic isolation has provided the outside world a little opportunity to see its wildlife. Until now, it may be renowned for its politics and cigars, but Cuba is home to some of the most unusual creatures on Earth, including the 50 Cuban crocodile, the world's smallest bird and frog, and also migrating land crabs. Cuba's diverse wildlife stems from its unique natural history. Cuba was not originally in the Caribbean Sea, but in the Pacific Ocean, where the island was situated 100 million years ago, before the forces of continental drift slowly brought it into the Caribbean. And as the island migrated over the ages, an astonishing variety of life arrived by air, sea, and possibly by land bridges that may have once existed. Over time, these animals adapted to their new environment. Today, more than half of Cuba's plant and animals, including more than 80% of its reptiles and amphibians, are found nowhere are found nowhere else on the planet. Next slide.
There are so many delicious food in Cuba, but I'm going to show you the top. Vaca frita is a Cuban dish consisting of fat and shredded skin of flank stick. It's it often topped with salted onions with a squeeze of lime and served with rice and black beans. It is prepared by sauteing slow-cooked stick. Picadillo, it is made with ground meat, tomatoes, raisins, olives, and other ingredients that vary by region. It is often served with rice or used as a filling in dishes such as tacos, savory pastries, or croquettes. The name comes from the Spanish word picar, meaning to meat. Arroz con pollo is a traditional dish of Spain and Latin America, closely related to paella. In the Dominican Republic, it is alternately called locrio de pollo, and in San Martin, it is called locri or locrio. Next slide.
The best time to travel to Cuba is typically between December and May. However, you can almost always accept sunny warm weather due to the island very little close location to the equator. Even if you travel to Cuba during the rainy season between May and October, you are unlikely to have a waterlogged holiday, as the rains never last very long. September and October are peak hurricane season. Getting to Cuba is straightforward. Several airlines fly direct from Europe, although there aren't many from the UK. It can prove cheaper to fly indirect to Cuba from the UK via other European cities. There are no direct flights from Ireland nor from Australia. You can now fly direct from the US, while Canada has long had the most flights to Cuba. Most flights land at Havana's Jose Marti Airport, although you can go direct to some regional airports. If you are traveling to Cuba from the US and you book via a specialist tour operator, they will likely be licensed to take groups of US citizens. This removes the hassle of organizing a license yourself. Where to go? First, Santa Clara is worth a stopover on your trip to Cuba. This large and bustling city, probably best known for its Che Guevara connections, easygoing Cienfuegos, with its distinctly French feel. It's known as the pearl of the South and enjoys a lovely by-side setting. Second, the historic and atmospheric city of Trinidad, with its pastel color colonial architecture and its village feel, draws visitors in large numbers. It's also an ideal base for exploring the Sierra del Escambre. In particular, the tops the Colante. Furthermore, you can use it as a jumping off point for the idyllic stretch of coastline on the peninsula de Acon and its beaches, in particular Playa Ancon. Third, the crown jewel of Holguin province in the northern Orient is lively and picturesque. Playa Guardalajara, its sugar-like sands, popular with Cubans and tourists alike. Playa Esmeralda, Pesquero, and Turquesa offer luxury and tranquility. Next slide.
Cuba flourishes covered with its large and amalgamation of Africa and Spanish influence. The most prevalent aspects are before music and art. Cuba music is now the world offer the slavish exciting twisting rhythms, bringing many to faith in complex a great deal and musician, which directing reference to concept Africa heretics and several typing of string instrument include the guitar. Cuba music allows with basic chord order, Gens's influence salsa, jazz, and the tango. Cuba art display is the clean blend between Africa and European styles, evolving throughout many years from Yargin the more in this contemporary. Calendar art appears in the politics season from the 1916 forward many and propaganda. This is advocating for the revolution. Five names of festival: Pepe Sanchez Trova Festival, International Troyer Festival, Festival de Caribe, Carnaval, Festival de San Matos, and many more. Next.
Ultimate souvenir. Cuban cigars are world famous. They are known to be the very best cigars on the market. The fact is tobacco has been grown in Cuba for hundreds of years, and manufacture has been producing cigars in that country since the time of King Philip II of Spain, 1527 and 1598. The cigars stand out because they are made from high-quality materials, and a lot of care and attention goes into the making of every single cigar. In fact, it has been estimated that it takes over 100 steps to properly produce a single Cuban cigar. The industry follows a detailed cigar creation ritual that has not changed much over the last 100 years or so. This dedicated care, this dedicated care and attention is another thing that set these cigars apart from cigars made in other countries. Unfortunately, the cigars are not easily available, while there are a lot of takes on the market that can be purchased quite easily. Genuine Cuban cigars are hard to come by outside of Cuba. However, the fact that these cigars are not easy to buy has only made them all the more desirable worldwide. Cuban cigars were already popular in the United States when John F. Kennedy created the economic embargo against Cuba in the early 1960s. However, after the embargo was in place, these cigars became even more popular. While it is now possible to visit Cuba and bring a limited amount of these cigars back home, U.S. legislation still blocks the commercial import of Cuban cigars. Next.
Now we are talking about the pink cars of Havana. There are a lot of pink cars of Havana, and there are a Cadillac, big house. Cuba and in particular Havana is famous for its 1950s American classic cars seen cruising over the street. Many of them taking the tourists around, and recently it seems more and more of them are painted in pink, and there is more behind the story than just a simple color preference. And the roots can be traced as far as back as the grassland in Memphis, Tennessee. That pink is the color most frequently requested by tourists when they get the choice of vehicle for a tour around the city. And that's what the drivers of these beautiful machines will tell you, and they would know. Armando Luis Socaras, who provides classic car tours of Havana, tells that the first day after he and his father finished painting their 1956 Ford Fairlane convertible a bright pink color, and also they pick up more rides than any and than on any other day of work previously when the car was a two-tone blue and white. So the pink color is uh, their lucky color. Next slide, please.
One of the most iconic alcohol brands in the world was found in Cuba, but soon ran into a set of fascinating problems that led to its relocation. Read on to discover more about Cuba's complicated relationship with Bacardi. Everyone has heard of Bacardi. The brand is one of the most recognizable around the globe. However, it has always had things so good. Bacardi Limit might now be the biggest privately held family-run spirits company in the world, but it had to overcome an inauspicious start to reach this height. In 1862, Don Facundo Bacardi Maso set up a rum distillery in the city of Santiago de Cuba in the east of the island. Far from counting out low-quality spirits as the local had been used to, Bacardi set about refining rum for more sophisticated palates.
And there are about Cuba, and this is the end of the slide. And I would to say thank you to everyone that watching us, and I hope that you are going to visit Cuba one day because as you can see on the slide, it has the beautiful beach and the famous Cadillac and also the famous Bacardi. And don't forget to party in Cuba. Thank you.